second in the state. Brebeuf will take on Covenant Christian out of 2A. With Craig Cox, Jim Barber, tonight's game sponsored in part by Building Better Future, one story at a time. We're speaking of the Morales Group. Aspen Creek Grill, why go anywhere else for delicious food? Burtner Electric, providing quality electrical services in the central Indiana area. By Boilermaker 374, we're second to none in quality and performance. Passion to care. Beyond home care, where passion meets purpose. Clean slate, inspired innovation that moves business forward. Piper Logistics, from warehousing to transportation and everything in between. And the Heartland Collegiate Athletic Conference. Watch the best Division III basketball on HCAC TV, where you always have a front row seat. With the former coach, I'm Jim Barber. It's a pleasure to bring you tonight's high school game between Covenant Christian, struggling with a record of 7-11 versus a Brebeuf team that's already won 12 of its last 16. And, Coach, you did this for a long time, not broadcasting, but coaching.
Right.
What do you do when you get rid of one player due to discipline reasons and another one breaks his hand and he's your star?
Well, I'll tell you, you hope for the best for a lot of other guys to step up their game and try to get some input that maybe you haven't seen throughout the year. And you know, this time of the year, you're wanting that to happen anyways as you get ready to prepare for sectional play.
And that injury to Crane is pretty significant simply because it's a broken hand. And now the question is, when's he going to come back?
Yeah, it is. And, I mean, he's one that does some dual things for him, not just from a scoring standpoint, but does some great things in terms of on the boards. And then there's a lot that Scott has with the four guys that kind of have done some things statistically for them that are all seniors. I mean, both of these teams, as we'll get into that here in this segment, but both teams have, 4 or 5 seniors. So there's a lot of experience that these guys have been through these years, but it certainly is one that they're down and will need some lift from some other guys.
Some people think the Braves could have a team that goes all the way to the state finals, and that was the situation last year when Guerin beat Brebeuf and did go all the way from the sectional championship to the finals.
It is. I mean, and here's the thing with tonight's contest, as well as even in the sectional play that you have Brebeuf in sectional 27, which they're going to be the favorite going in, but it's always one that them and Guerin, fight it out. Obviously, earlier this year, Brebeuf did beat Guerin in that, but this is a conference game here tonight that both these programs and coaches know a lot about each other.
We are about a month away or less from the state tournament. How significant as we get into the month of February, and you've already been working out, practicing, and playing since October, how big do the games down the stretch become?
Oh, they're paramount. I mean, both these teams have been in a position where they've had some tournament-type settings with some holiday tournaments and then the city tournament. That Covenant had in the county. So they've had those types of exposures, and you always want to groom your program with those types of situations during the year with kind of a different feel than what just a regular season game like we have here tonight. But it becomes paramount. You want to be in a position where over the last 2 or 3 weeks where you're really trying to make some fine-tuning of what you're doing just throughout the year. Now, it becomes a little bit tougher for Coach Flatt with having down 2 players and what that fine-tuning looks like. But there's very, very big when you get in these moments.
Yeah, you wonder in the situation of the broken hand for Nathan Crane, how long will he be out? If he's out the rest of the season, that really takes a punch away. Or if he's able to come back when we get to the tournament first weekend of March.
No, it is, and it's a great point, Jim. I think when you're dealing with a hand, I mean, it's such an integral part of everything that's being done in the game of basketball. And so to have your leader in terms of scoring and rebounding, it is a big blow. But again, you hope that you've been in a position as a coach, along with your staff, that you're grooming some of your guys, whether they be upperclassmen or even some of the younger ones that you have, to get some added experience, which will really be big as well. You talked about how big it becomes, is getting some of these guys that experience prior to if you can't get Crane back.
Yeah, next man up, or in this case, next men up, because of the 2 that are out. You can unleash the power, passion. IndianaSRN, always a front row seat. Contact us at sales@IndianaSRN.org to discuss how we can customize a sponsorship package that maximizes your brand and exposure. Your Central Indiana sports leader, IndianaSRN.org. That's tonight's game, live from Covenant Christian. We'll see a lot of the Covenant Christian Warriors in the next week or 2 as they get ready to prepare themselves for the 2A sectional tournament coming up at the weekend, the first weekend of March. Weather today all around Indianapolis just gorgeous.
Made you have a flashback, as much as everything's the city on a buzz about NBA All-Star Weekend, and then you have the weather that we had today makes you go back to when we hosted the Super Bowl and had 70-degree weather. And
yes.
People were all in shorts. And, I think the thing is that we know with Indiana weather, when you have days like this, is it setting us up for something that's going to be another blizzard-like conditions in 2 weeks where we'll be like, where'd this come from? But enjoy it while we can.
We just saw Neff Farrell moments ago. What kind of game is he going to have, number 3?
Well, I'll tell you, Coach Flatt and his program certainly needs to have him have a big one. Right before we came on this segment, I was talking about, he's one that's got to carry a lot of load. I think, Covenant's a team that, doesn't kill you statistically. They got 4 or 5 guys averaging, in the single digits, but anywhere from that 5 to 10. And they're going to have to rely on Neff a lot to have, right around 20 to really give them a hope to be able to compete with this Brave program here tonight.
The Braves in the dark uniforms are led by number 1, Evan Haywood, who averages 21 points a game, and he is going to play for Thad Matta next year at Butler. How good is number 1?
Well, I think when you can say that this is a kid that's going, to a power conference, in terms of basketball, I mean, that in itself speaks a lot. Comes from good genetics from his father. His uncle, Rodney, even played at Butler himself. And, Evan's a solid young man, first and foremost, before you even talk about the game. And so he's one that does it a lot that you see for Coach Glunt, not just in the scoring, but he gets guys involved. This Brave team is just like Covenant in the sense from experience. It's very senior heavy, but these are some skilled players. I mean, they get it from 3 guys that are double-digit scorers. This is a team that's putting up 70 a game.
And Haywood shoots the 3 at 43%. I mean, that's a number that in the NBA they'd be happy with, but in high school, wow.
No, it is. It's big. And, I mean, you talk about shooting, Jim, just on Haywood's side, but even as a team, the things that jump off to you, I mean, they're shooting almost 50% from the field. They're shooting 37 as a team,
wow.
From 3, which is somewhat incredible. But, yeah, I mean, Haywood's a guy that can stretch you by filling it up from the outside. He's a guy that can put it on the deck and get to the basket and kind of impose his will on you with some of his athleticism. And getting other guys are involved. This is a team that shares the ball really, really well and averaging 15 assists as a team as well.
Yeah, that's a great number. Tonight's broadcast is a copyrighted production of IndianaSRN and the Indiana High School Athletic Association. Any use of audio or video without the express written permission of IndianaSRN and the IHSAA is prohibited. About ready to take a break, and when we come back, opening tip between Covenant Christian and Brebeuf. They finished on a buzzer beater last year at Brebeuf in a game won by the Warriors. The rematch is coming up next.
To you. Standing with us. You are truly making a difference in the lives of our neighbors in need.
Nice.
We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, IndianaSRN. Hit the bell to get notifications for upcoming games and more. Watch as many games as you want, as many times as you want.
At Morales Group Staffing, we are all about building better futures. And during these times, we are working hard to put people to work. We are now hiring for hundreds of jobs with pay up to $17 an hour. Visit our website at moralesgroup.net or text JOBS, JOBS, to 317-472-7600 to apply now and get hired today.
warehousing to transportation and everything in between, Piper Logistics does it all. Centrally located, Piper Logistics has 2 warehouses in Indianapolis and a warehouse in Cincinnati, Ohio. Piper Logistics houses over 1 million square feet. Along with our transportation department, we can provide service to half the United States markets.
We encourage you to follow.
Let's listen into the starting lineups for tonight's game between Brebeuf and Covenant Christian.
Number 0, senior Reese Butcher. Number 2, senior Javon Brooks. Number 5, senior Quinn Ward. Number 10, senior Will Ryan. Number 34, senior Evan Adrian. The ball is coached by Alan Cohen. And now your Covenant Christian High School Warriors. Number 1, senior Jamison Lockman. Number 3, senior Ned Farrell. Number 11, senior Paxton Bacon. Number 22, junior Mark Craig. And number 35, senior Sam Ware.
Head coach of the Warriors, 19th year for Scott Flatt. Head coach of the Braves, Alan Glunt, his 2nd year with a record of 27-13. Coach Flatt has had 4 sectional championships in his 2-decade tenure. And Alan Glunt said it best. He's going to have something cooked up for us tonight, even though he's got a player. He kicked off a team. Even though he's got a player that's injured who's a star player, he plays us tough. He beat us at our place last year at a buzzer. I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime you have a veteran coach, you know, you got to be ready for anything. Coach Flatt, I had the opportunity to coach against him for years, and, you know, he's certainly one that will try to mix it up and show you different looks. And then again, you can't take away, as much as we say it with players, you can't substitute court experience. You can't do that with game experience with a coach.
Off and running, the Braves have the basketball. We set it up first. We mentioned Haywood, number 1. He's actually 34 out there, and he is the star player, averaging 21 points a game. He's on the wing right now as the ball is controlled by Will Ryan. They can shoot the 3 as well as anybody. How about that in the start with a 3 by Haywood?
Well, he's one. You talked about it, Jim. He's hitting 43% beyond the arc, which is amazing for any player at any given level, and he comes right out the gate here and already stretches the defense and knocking it down.
No, what Glunt says about Haywood, he just lets the game come to him. Doesn't matter if he's involved scoring early. He knows his place out there. He'll get his points, and it's just such command of the game by Haywood.
Well, and those are always ones that you love to coach, too, letting them come to you and not pressing. That's when a lot of times when a lot of things can happen.
Off the bounce, shot missed out there by 22 Mark Crane. And the Braves with the lead 3-0 in the hands of Haywood.
Got Covenant coming out more in kind of a matchup zone.
Tough spin in the basket and a pretty good save, but then the turnover gives it back to Crane. Here come the Warriors, who've lost 4 in a row, but have a chance tonight to get a little bit of momentum going back. Scott Flatt said, Craig, this is his toughest week. Ben Davis and now these guys tonight.
Yeah, really tough. I mean, you know, obviously Covenant 2A program playing against 3A tonight, 4A against Ben Davis.
Good fake inside, but a shot missed by Neff Farrell.
Well, and that's the ones that they not only have to get as a team, but they certainly need to get that for Neff. And we get a bank still open after 5 o'clock from the 43%. I don't know how many of them have gone in off the bank, but nonetheless, they still count.
Well, they're probably open on the West Coast, I would think. You know, that's 6 already for Haywood, and 2 threes. Man, he's just impressive, isn't he? Be able to help Thad Mata next year, the Butler Bulldogs, who put together a nice little win streak prior to their loss to UConn the other night.
They did. Got one tomorrow against Providence, who beat them earlier in the year, as we get a 3 up by Ware here.
Fast breaking the other way. The Braves would like to run an average 70 points a game, but this is turned over, and now the Warriors have numbers, or at least had them.
And this will be interesting tonight with Coach Flatt, is how well they can control the tempo. You talk about how Brebeuf really likes to get up and down the floor, putting the points that they are. You got to think about, you don't want to play in any stall moments, but you want to be in a position where you're playing for your high percentage shot. Be patient, which is what we're seeing here in this possession.
And that patience resulted in an open three, but missed by Jamison Laughlin. It is 6-0 Brebeuf, and we're at the 5-minute mark already of the first quarter.
I think that Brebeuf's looking like early on here, like they're just totally sold on just shooting the three ball
yes.
all night. And the things that you have to do in playing against a zone is really, being in a position where you're shifting and getting some pin screens, getting ball screens on the top of that to kind of free some things up to play the more higher percentage shots.
So when we hear the word pin screen, what do we mean?
Well, I mean, any ball reversal you can get, if you can get the weak side stepping in and getting that backside guy for skip passes, really opens up a lot. So we get another one that comes up short here for Covenant. They're 0 for 4 now early on here halfway through the first quarter.
Now Farrell's the go-to guy. He can also knock down the three. Remains 6-0, and now Covenant Christian runs the court, and it's still scoreless. Reese Busher for three. 3 threes in the first quarter. Timeout Scott Flatt. 9-0 in favor of Brebeuf. Wow, what a start.
Yeah, and they are coming out blazing for just the threes as we're getting a replay here on the bank three. But again, Coach Glunt, Haywood, and these Braves will take any way that they can go in. And sometimes they go in different ways, but they're coming out shooting it well, stretching it. The interesting thing's going to be is obviously in due time you'll find that balance. We talked a little bit about the pin screens, but the other thing that really makes us susceptible against the zone is really getting the ball in the high post and working high-low game. And it just gives you so much because everything collapses defensively, and then you get kickouts. And this is a team, again, that they're going to spot up. They're going to set their feet and look to knock down the three that we've already seen here early.
Scott Flatt was saying earlier today that at one point, Covenant Christian was 0 for 9 against Brebeuf in the last 9 games, and then has pulled off 2 wins at Brebeuf over the last couple of years.
Yeah, you take those, especially when you can get it like they did last year on the road.
Yep, steal by the Braves. Good fake inside shot missed, and a foul coming up. There was a chance for Will Ryan to score it, but a foul. And so with 3:58 to go in the first quarter, obviously non-shooting. And the foul's on Will Ryan.
And you'll see that so many times where, it's kind of a frustration foul. You kind of, miss the bunny, the give me, if you will, and then you're giving up a foul 85 feet from the basket. So it's one you just got to cut your losses and play for the next possession.
This is a 3-against-1, and free throws coming up for 24, Sam Sherman. So I always ask this of forward coaches. What used to bother you the most? Is it a foul committed 85 feet from the goal? Is it a missed free throw? What would it be?
Oh, a lot of it to me was always defensive transitioning.
Really?
Yeah, I'll say that with a quickness. I mean, again, when you have the missed shot or, lost on a turnover on your end of the court, it's, how well are you getting back to play the next possession? Or you still, whether we just saw with Ryan making that 85 feet, no, you just got to get back. If you turn the ball over, you just got to get back. You have a missed shot, you just got to get back. You got to play the next possession. Was always one that certainly would get me the most.
Sam Sherman's free throw makes it 10-0. Oh, by the way, do you miss coaching at all?
I miss certain aspects of it, there's no doubt. I think a lot of times the player relationships is first and foremost. And I think the second one is just the prep, prepping for that competitive type situation that we try to put in front of our kids. There's certainly parts of it that I don't, but certainly the relationships and the prep I do.
Oh, well said. Warriors need somebody to score a basket here. Still shut out, 4.5 minutes into the first quarter. Jim Barber, the former coach, Craig Cox, tonight on IndianaSRN.org. Here's a chance at a layup, and the shutout broken. Paxton Bacon, their number 2 scorer, gets the first field goal.
Well, and that's what you want. I mean, especially when things aren't going well for you from a shooting standpoint, is you want to get downhill, play that higher percentage shot, but you want to make your opponent defend you. Great job there by Paxton getting downhill. He saw the seam and looking to attack the rim.
Now Farrell has the first foul, Craig. Team foul 3. Braves in the dark uniforms to throw it in with a record of 12-4 and 2-0 in the Circle City Conference. They're leading right now. That's a 3 on the way. Off to the left, and the rebound taken down by Paxton Bacon.
Well, you love the opportunity there. The extra pass is what gets you those open looks. The defense is expecting you to shoot, and then all of a sudden you don't with the extra pass.
Another turnover. Here comes Reese Butcher. Into the lane. Nice handoff inside. And the layup good by Jawan Brooks. And another timeout call with a score 12-2. It's a 30-second timeout. And so far, Craig, 4 different Braves have scored, led by Wahoo House, Evan Haywood.
Well, that, and then we talked about, too, at the opening segment, is this is a team that shares the ball really well, averaging 15 assists, which is really a solid number. I think statistically as a team, there's so much we talked about the shooting, how it really jumps off the page for you. The reboundings are really in a good position along with assists, and then your turnovers are down at 11. So, I mean, when you can do those types of things, it's going to typically, drive what their stat numbers are. And when you're doing those types of things, it's going to put you in a position to win most of your games or in the position to do so at the end.
Agreed. Our mission is to restore respect to game officials and recognize them as authorities on the fields and courts. Thanks to our officials. Without them, we don't play. Sportsmanship, everybody's job.
One thing I'll say, Jim, is one of the nicest things about Covenant's uniforms is it's some of the largest numbers on the front of our jerseys that I think I've seen. So for the officials and for us, we can always see who's doing what.
Doesn't show our age, does it? When we make a
yeah, it's like
that?
my eyes. It's like the numbers on the front are almost as big as the back. And for our standpoint, I like it.
Haywood trying for his third 3 with the miss and a rebound taken out by Joe Midla. Here come the Warriors, down 10 in the first quarter.
Well, when we talk about offensively, regardless of what team you're talking about, the 3 things that you're after offensively is always about how well do you space the floor, how well do you move the ball, and then how well do you move your body when you're off the ball is any situation to beat any defense.
Nice pass in there and a nice head and shoulder fake, and Paxton Bacon has all 4 points.
Well, great job. Again, both looks have been for him by layups. And you got to be able to do that. I mean, how well you're moving off the ball, how well you're working ball screens. Brebeuf's always going to do a really good job of this as well.
Down to a minute 45, first quarter, 12-4 in favor of the Braves, ranked number 2 in 3A. Good pass inside, and the layup by Quinn Warren, his first points of the day.
And a great job by Quinn playing through that contact. Good no call, but you got to be able to do that as well. But good job of shifting the defense on both sides of the floor.
Alan Glunt says even though we have 6 seniors, it's taken a while for everybody to trust each other this year and kind of get in a groove.
Well, and it's one, too, where you look for your senior leadership as we got another look at the 3 here by Farrell coming up. But, yeah, I mean, when you talk about we talked about both these teams really having a lot of experience. Covenant has a few of those out, and Brebeuf is led by 4 seniors as well. But, it's these types of times to where the seniors' time is coming to a close, and this is where you not only need the underclassmen and any sophomores and certainly juniors, but it's also kind of passing the torch and preparing them for next year as well.
Another interior pass, another basket scored, this time by Javon Brooks. And he's got 4, and he becomes the 5th different player to score.
Well, and there's so much we can talk about balance, Jim, with this Brave team, and that's how they'll hurt you in a lot of ways.
Traveling call, out of bounds to Brebeuf. Full-scale substitutions as the Braves are going to send in Sam Sherman. And out of the game come Reese Butcher and Brooks and Warren. 16-4 Braves. First quarter winding down. They do such a nice job of sharing the ball. And the passing inside, too. That's the 3rd layup in succession. That one scored, I believe, by Sam Sherman. 18-4 Brebeuf. Final seconds, first quarter.
Well, the great thing that you have, too, that you see in Brebeuf and that we've seen here early on here in this first quarter And a lot of this goes back to coaching, is when they catch, they're not dribbling right away unless they know I have the immediate attack. It's more rip to the hip, and I'm more assessing my defense, which is what you always want to teach guys, is read your defense. Look and get rim eye looks to see if you have a teammate that's closer for the better percentage shot.
Final seconds. Can they get off a shot? Their main guy at the buzzer missed it. But he didn't miss much in the first quarter. He started off with 2 threes and after one. Second-ranked team in the state at 3A. Brebeuf leading 18-4.
We really focus on modern application development, DevOps, so automating the whole process of delivering your solution, and cloud architecture.
It's very important for mid to large companies to have cloud partners, because you can't possibly have all the talent you need to address the complex ecosystem of the cloud.
We advise them on all parts of their business. And then when things are defined and we see a clear goal, Clean Slate also then goes and does the work.
We have a team that is very passionate about what they do. We love to solve complex problems, and there's a lot of companies out there that will avoid, getting involved in those things, and I think that's why clients like to work with us.
Tonight's game brought to you in part by Tam's Sweet and Savory Cafe, offering traditional food like Grandma used to make. Great staff, even better food. Check us out Wednesday through Sunday. Call ahead 317-760-1640. We start the second quarter with the Braves' dark uniforms and Covenant Christian in the white. And with the former coach Craig Cox, I'm Jim Barber. So, you're Covenant Christian. How are you going to score?
Well, I think a lot of it is spacing the floor and working a lot of ball screens. I mean, Brebeuf has showed man pretty much throughout, so I think you got to try to work the ball screens and looking for more of the situation of playing the pick and roll game and seeing what that might be able to get you. I think it's going to be a little tougher for them to be in a position where they're just breaking their defensive guys from Brebeuf down. So ball screens, I think, is certainly a good antidote for that.
That was a 3-second violation on 15, Owen Prenger. Back to the Braves, who started this game with a couple of made threes from Evan Haywood.
Looks like we had a sub at the quarter, too. Looks like Jacob Strickland is in there, younger brother of Joe Strickland, defensive end there for Purdue. Good high-low action there.
Drop down to Prenger. Can he get an open shot?
Certainly great action. You'd like to get him to where he's working more to the basket as opposed to away from it, but I liked how he really held his post and sealed his defender.
Scott Flatt thought there should have been traveling. Instead, the Braves still hold the ball. Top pass inside, back outside for three on the way. Good by Evan Haywood, who has 9.
He's got a 3-piece of threes now. Well, they talked about earlier how well he strokes it from out there, too. And Bulldogs, as we get another basket here by Bacon, now he just needs some support. He's got all 6 points for the Warriors.
They're without, in case you're just joining us, Nathan Crane, who had 13 off the bench and lost to Chittard earlier this year. He has a broken hand. It was suffered, of all things, Craig, on a deflection the other night against Ben Davis.
Oh, no, I wasn't aware of that. Certainly a tough one for Coach Flatt and the Warrior program. He's a guy that was averaging 9 and 5, and certainly is one that gives him a little bit of size as well.
Going to be an and one opportunity coming up for the Braves on a foul called in the inside. Scott Flatt, 19th season with Covenant Christian. Alan Glunt, 2nd season. Another look at the interior play, which has been outstanding.
Yeah, great job of Evan playing through the contact there. Loved where he caught the ball, assessed the defense, loosed a crab dribble, turned and faced, and again, had ability to play through the contact and knocking down the three-point play.
He has already got 12 of the team's 24. 24-6 in favor of the Braves. Covenant Christian could use the 3 and gets it from Paxton Bacon, who has all 9 Warrior points.
Well, Mom and Dad are happy.
Yeah.
Probably happier, though, if they were a little bit closer, but it's one that he has certainly shown up to play as Jacob Strickland gets the putback for his first and makes it the 6th Brave in the scoring column.
Wow. 6 minutes to go. First half, it's all Braves, 26-9, trying to improve their record to 13-4. Tough drive to the goal, foul called. That could be free throws for Paxton coming up, who again has done all the scoring so far for Scott Flat's Warriors. Fouls on Sam Sherman. So here's Paxton Bacon shooting for his 10th point, which would be his team's 10th point.
Bacon is 67% shooter on the year, which is exactly what the team shoots as well.
What's a good free throw percentage in high school, in your opinion?
Well, I think anything north of 70 certainly what you want to be. But I think that you want to say kind of mid 70s. I think the mid 70s to low 80s is really good. You very rarely see a lot of high school players in the mid to upper 80s, at least that are shooting a fair amount of attempts.
Paxton Bacon has all 7 points in this quarter as well, 11 for the game, 26-11 Braves.
Well, we talked about, as Haywood puts another one up, but we talked about that Farrell was going to need to put up a good amount of points. He hadn't scored here yet, as you indicated. Bacon's got them all, but somebody else has to get it as Haywood gets another deuce here for himself.
Evans got 13, 28-11. Favor of the Braves. End-to-end action. Nice drive, but Mal Granberry couldn't finish it off. It come the other way. And that's a reverse layup scored by Nicholas Sobek. Plays off the wing. He's a junior.
And becomes the 7th. So the balance we talked about in the pregame is one that they're showing us here in the first half with 7 scores. And you got to love that, because from your opponents, you're in a position where you really got to prepare for more than just 2 or 3 guys.
Well, I imagine as a former coach in a game where you've overmatched your opponent, having everybody share in the scoring column is always a good feel.
It is, and it also puts Coach Glenn in a position where he's getting guys in the game early that probably aren't typically getting minutes this early in a game. So it gets him some good experience. You never know when somebody's in foul trouble or gets hurt or sick or whatever the case may be, and others have to step up.
Whoa, step back 3. Rice Butcher, his second 3 of the game. He's got 6. Here come the Warriors back the other way, and off the drive, foul to the hoop is Jamison Laughlin, who's a 5'10", the senior guard. This season started when Scott Flat had 14, oddly enough, 14 on the roster, but excusing Devin Rudolph from the roster, and then with Crane's broken hand, things are diminishing a bit.
Yeah, as there's number 1 and 2 scorers, or excuse me, number 1 and 3 scorers on the team, both seniors. And so it's big holes to fill, but one that necessarily sometimes what will happen, and guys got to be able to step up and be prepared for these type of opportunities.
Under 4:30 to go, first half. Live tonight on IndianaSRN.org. High school basketball in the final month before we get to the sectional. What a pretty drive by Brooks, who now has 3 field goals.
Well, and the biggest thing there is just turning the corner. He didn't banana himself out. He's getting downhill. Very, very nice move there by Laughlin with the reverse layup.
This is the style the Braves like to play, and they pick it up and run end to end. That's going to be an and 1 for Reese Butcher, now has 8.
It's almost like an identical move from the last time.
Wow.
I think Coach Flat's talking about now is how's that an and 1, where he says that the foul happened right here, and he's got 2 extra dribbles, but they counted it.
Yeah.
So you can see Coach Flat's response there, but those happen. It's like, hey, as if I already didn't have a big enough headache already, and now you're calling this.
Come on, officials. Give me a break here, huh? 3-point try coming up for Reese Butcher, who converts.
Well, we figured it was going to be a tall task for the Warrior program tonight. Obviously, we've talked about the loss of these 2 players even compounded that. Again, what you have to do is you have to have ball security. You also have to be in a position where you're not giving them, rebounds in a position where it puts them in quick transition opportunities as well. You're getting some full court pressure here by the Braves now, and see how the Warriors can handle this.
The Braves scored 20 points in the first 4 minutes of the quarter, and that's a bank in for 3. And how about this? And he'll be able to come back with a little bit of activity. Ty Gillespie with a 3.
I've seen one from both ends now.
Yeah.
Thanks. See both teams attacking well, drawing some fouls here as we see the replay here. It's what you got to do if you're any player. And Gillespie right here set his feet, stepped into a shot very nicely. But when hand down, man down, you're not being guarded. You got to be able to take that shot.
Foul called on Mark Crane. And Quinn Warren at the free throw line has a field goal so far.
It's another one of our seniors, 6'6". Good body type, one that certainly gets you a lot of good interior type opportunities. Comes up short on both of these. As you always said, never up, never in. The worst miss that you can have is always on the front end of the rim.
Yeah.
It never has a chance.
Braves 2 of 5 for the free throw line despite the huge lead.
Nice look.
Beautiful pass, too. It goes from Jamison Laughlin inside to Neff Farrell for his first points, by the way, Craig.
Well, and they need that. Really need a big night for Neff and try to help Paxton Bacon with some of this scoring.
Who's going to get to the scrum here? Braves get to it. Got a 3 against 2. Shot blocked. Good defensive play by Sam Ware. We go the other way. Open 3, Farrell. Good hustle by Ware. They'll try another 3. Now the Braves on the break. Well, the tempo is picked up here this quarter.
Yeah, great job there by the Warrior defense. We talked about earlier about defense transition, getting back what more than likely should have been a layup and transitioned well to be able to get them to pull it back out.
Out of bounds with 2:24 to go in the first half. For 125 years, Wheeler Mission has been a pillar in the Indianapolis community, providing help, hope, and healing to people in need. Volunteer today at 317-686-6239.
Brebeuf still keeping the full court on, just kind of some token pressure, getting some soft trapping, just to kind of slow them down. It's not as much, and some of our listeners might be, why are you trapping being up 20?
Sure.
You know, you're playing not for just the moment you're in, but for other opportunities that you're going to face in the remainder of this season, as well as for sectional play. So there's situational moments, and so that's what a lot of, I'm sure what Coach Glenn is working on is Haywood gets the runner down the lane to send it to yet. Looks like it's going to be a timeout by Brebeuf.
He has 15 first half points. 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. It's all Brebeuf. Here in the second quarter, leading 40-19. So it's no surprise that Covenant Christian, without a couple of key players, overmatched today. But what can the Warriors take from this week with Ben Davis and Brebeuf? Because Scott Flatt says the fact that our guys are competing is going to be a positive.
No, and I think you hit the nail on the head there, Jim, is that's the biggest thing. You just want your kids to go out and compete. It can get hard at times from a player perspective. You got to do your best to kind of keep them encouraged and let them know, again, that there's things to be able to take from every possession that you have. And the biggest thing that you want to do is you got to compete. You got to stay relentless. You got to play to the whistle. Continue to stay with what our prep is. Continue to stay with what the pillars of your program are, and continue to fight. It's all you can do in this, and keep your kids encouraged.
You didn't have any nights like this when you're coaching, did you?
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I know the answer to that.
Oh, yeah, I know. I want to meet the coach that has it. But no, it's tough. It's tough to sometimes coach in because, again, you can get caught up in it as a coach, and at times I did as well. But you got to do your best to try to keep your players motivated and encouraged, and knowing, again, that you're playing for a bigger moment.
Reese Butcher becomes the second double-figure scorer for Brebeuf. He has 11. About $1.50, 1:30 to go first half.
Nice, good kick out.
Inside-outside game, and the 3.
Gillespie again.
He now
with his
has
second.
2 of them.
Yeah, and I love the action there. You got the great post pass that Farrell got as Haywood takes another. They doubled down on him on the dig, and he kicked out. When you demand that second layer of that help, you got to have accessibility as a player off the ball, and Farrell did a great job of finding Gillespie there.
Paxton Bacon had the team's first 11 points. 42-22, first half coming to an end. Juan Brooks now with 9, his first 3 of the game.
I would like to certainly, so I mean, it's a good kick out by Warren, but you get that ball that deep on a putback, really like to see you chin that power dribble or crab dribble to the basket and go up strong. But good cook out there, and certainly had Brooks ready to shoot it.
Offensively, not a bad quarter for the Warriors. They've scored 18, but the Braves have scored 27.
I don't know if they got the foul on the shooter or if it was actually on the screen. But either way, it's if it's not, and it's not on the, not on the shot, obviously, and we're not to the 5th foul yet, as most probably know by now with the new rule, is it resets every quarter, but on the 5th foul is an automatic 2 shots.
Haven't had a chance to ask you because it's the first time we worked basketball, but you a fan of the over the limit 5 fouls per quarter?
I do. I do like it. I think it was a great move by IHSAA, and I know some are opposed to it. I think the bigger one that I'd like to see we still don't have yet. It's a shot clock. I was always in favor of it years ago, but nonetheless, it's still not here. But no, I do. I am in favor of it.
Final seconds, first half. Who's going to get the ball?
We have a sideline violation.
8.5 is going to belong to Covenant Christian.
You're in this situation, you got to get downhill and try to get your shot off by 4 and hope for a chance for a putback. Don't think they're going to get that, but
just a little short. Boilermakers Local 374 represents highly skilled, highly motivated workers in field construction and metal fabrication throughout the state of Indiana. Start your career with Boilermakers Union Local 374. Call us at 219-845-1000. At the break, all Brebeuf. Back with our halftime in a moment.
This is a place of becoming. I grew up spiritually here. This place is a gem of Christian community, not just for churches and not just for schools, but for Christians coming together and dialoguing and truly learning and truly engaging culture.
This idea of the relationship with a student and the relationship with God, it's the most important thing in what we do in every single subject that we teach.
We want Covenant to be a place where they are challenged in their faith here in a safe environment where questions are welcome, but we ultimately have faith in the gospel.
The model of Covenant is that all teachers are Bible teachers, that all the teachers are mentors and spiritual leaders. And we've always hired teachers that care immensely about their students and not just about their intellectual life, but about their spiritual life.
The kind of education that Covenant is providing, both intellectual but also deeply spiritual, practical, theology that changes the way that students live. The gospel is the message that changes everything.
We're not just trying to master the truths, but to receive them that we would be changed.
Do you want to have a thinking faith? Do you want to have a curious faith? How about a charitable faith? We need students who understand their faith, and not who just understand it intellectually, but who have a zeal, a personal zeal for Jesus.
We are pursuing concrete answers to everything always, to be right, but to live in right relationship. Not just be right, but do rightly.
Our model of education, our pursuit of learning, is not just about preparing students to serve, though it is that. It's not just preparing students for rigorous academic endeavors, which we hopefully do that as well. But we know that at the heart of it all, and the thing that matters most to us, is that their lives are changed.
Jim Barber, Craig Cox. This is halftime at Covenant Christian High School here on IndianaSRN.org. It has been all Brebeuf so far. Lennon scoring by Evan Haywood and Reese Butcher, both in double figures already. Brooks has 9 to back that up. For Covenant Christian, Paxton Bacon had 11 points, and 11 of the first 11 points scored by his team. And so as a result, 45-22 at the half. This game, I think, has gone pretty much according to a format and to schedule. So you're Scott Flatt. You're in the locker room right now. Your team is down by a bunch. What's he telling them?
Well, I think a lot of it is guys, we got to stay encouraged, pick each other up, continue to play for our moments that we practiced on and prepped on this week. Stay the course for that. As frustrating as it might be, you got to continue to play to those things that are part of your program and all of what we've talked about leading up to this game.
Now you're Alan Glunt. You enjoy a great first half, especially led by Evan Haywood with his made threes to start with. What's his conversation about?
Well, I think a lot of it is continue to do what we've been doing. They got to think about pace. We got to be in a position where we're continuing to play our part of the program, just like we talked about with Coach Flatt and the Warriors. I think it's got to continue to be about trying to get themselves in transitions and then play for the good shots. I think that I think it can be very, very a slippery slope when you get up like this. Things can tend to get a little sloppy. You get complacent and feel like we got a big cushion, and sometimes it can press you into a lot of unforced turnovers.
Alan says his team, well, the focus is going to be on the sectional eventually and the fact that they are peaking at the right time. But you ask him about that sectional coming up with Guerin, Catholic, and others. He said it's going to be wild. And last year, the winner, as we have already mentioned, and people already know, went all the way into the final game before losing in overtime to Northwood, that being Guerin Catholic.
Yeah, I mean, it's one that they got a strong team, and Guerin Catholic does. And I saw Sorensen just went over 1,000 points last week. It's always a big rivalry for them. They played earlier in the year. Brebeuf won that. But Sectional 27 is a great one. I mean, you not only have Brebeuf and Guerin, you also certainly also have Heritage as well, and then Chittard, which I know you know a lot about Chittard,
I've
right?
seen them a lot, yes, yeah.
So, no, but it's one that, that's always a great rivalry, and one that probably Brebeuf is probably the favorite.
45-22 our score as we bring you closer to the start of the third quarter. The Braves have had a number of different people score in this game. In fact, actually 7. Ty Gillespie came off the bench for Covenant Christian, knocked down a couple of threes, and I think has given Scott some reason to believe that maybe his bench is going to help out.
Well, I think the second quarter was much better. I mean, obviously got off to a slow start. I think it was 9-0 before they scored. A couple threes obviously helped that, kind of stretch the defense, if you will. But early on, the points that they got was, getting downhill, working a little bit of the high-low game. Got to the free throw line a bit as well. Hit 3 out of 5, I believe, and had 3 threes in that first half. And I think if you can start to find most teams obviously by now have found their identity. But that can change, as we've known with what we've talked about here tonight with Coach Flatt. And so sometimes you find it late in the season from somebody else that gets opportunities and makes the most of it. And that can help build confidence not only for the present but also for building the future.
Yes, and for Covenant, no Devin Rudolph, who is off the team, and no Nathan Crane, who has a broken hand as a result of a deflection that came the other night against Ben Davis. Coming up on the schedule, Covenant will have Indianapolis Lutheran, and a game we'll have on the eve of St. Valentine's next Tuesday night. And how about this matchup, Brebeuf and Carmel?
Yeah. And those are great ones to obviously get, too. They finish up with Heritage, Tri-West, and Roncalli, but certainly the Carmel is the big one out of those last four that they have. So, and with that, too, two fee-based schools that are very much in a lot of ways, or excuse me, not fee-based schools, but too many schools as far as these kids growing up together in terms of just communities. There's a lot of kids from Brebeuf that live and reside in Carmel, so they know each other a great deal. So one that I know will be a great contest.
Start of the third quarter when we come back on IndianaSRN.org.
Aspen Creek Grill, we are a from-scratch concept with comfort fresh food. You can expect a world-class experience on a great budget. We've got incredible specials, great service. Today's dish that we're going to highlight is going to be our Aspen Blue Sirloin. It is, again, our premium Black Angus certified beef, and we top that with a blue cheese crust. Again, everything that we do here is made from scratch, and it's no different from our steaks. We hand cut all our steaks in-house. So our team back there it's just an incredible team. Everything that they do, they take so much pride in. They put a little bit of themselves into everything that they do over here, especially since it is a made from scratch concept. We want everybody to come, visit us, enjoy some great food with some great service. Bring your friends, bring your family, come have some great food, have a great time with us with some of the best comfort scratch food.
As we get ready to start the second half, unleash the power, passion. IndianaSRN, always a front row seat. Contact us at sales@IndianaSRN.org to discuss how we can customize a sponsorship package for you that maximizes your brand and exposure. Your Central Indiana sports leader, IndianaSRN.org. So, in the third and fourth quarters, what might we expect?
Well, I think, I would probably expect that Glenn's probably coming back with a lot of his starters, but might only play them very sparingly here, give some opportunities for what we talked about earlier, some other guys to get some experience and hope that they can maintain the lead. But again, I think it's much in the same. I think if you're Covenant, it's one you kind of got to carry over a little bit more what you did there in the second quarter as opposed to the first, and seeing about moving that ball, working high-low games, and working ball screens.
Yes, that was an 18-point scoring quarter for Covenant Christian after just 4 2 field goals in the first quarter.
Well, and even though it was unforced, it's one that you like if you're Coach Flatt and Covenant in terms of getting a turnover here on the first possession of your opponent.
And the schedule does lighten up rather easily or significantly for the Warriors. Easy is probably the wrong word, but not seeing Ben Davis and the likes of Brebeuf for the remainder of the schedule will allow them to breathe a little bit better. That's a murderous row schedule in a matter of just a few nights. Here's Jeff Farrell. Step back three on the way is a little bit long by Mark Crane. Isaac Crane shooting up with this team as well. Where's number 30? He's a sophomore. This second half begins the way the first one was. Evan Haywood now with 18.
Well, and these are guys that can score them in bunches. It's not just Haywood at 21 a game. You got Butcher averaging 12, Brooks averaging 13, but these are two guys, too, that can put up 20 on a given night as well.
Haywood is right at his average. You mentioned 21. He's got 18. Going to be pushed coming up on Brebeuf, and that's on Will Ryan. Three fouls on him. First of the team foul of the second half.
And you're still going to see much in the same in terms of man. Glunt will play primarily man and good ball pressure, and that's what you want to do. As he actually was just getting ready to say, you just want to guard your yard, and it's exactly what he did right there in getting the 5-second call. Certainly got to make an advance of the ball, but you see so many times where guys will belly up on a dribbler, and you only want to do that when they pick it up. Other than that, you just want to keep the arms linked, guard your yard, and just create some added presence and hope that you can make a turnover or create a turnover by your presence and not trying to go for the steal or foul.
I like that phrase, guard your yard. Is that an original?
Oh, yeah, I've used it for years, but certainly wasn't invented by me by any means.
Little two-man game. Haywood fires up a three too long, and the rebound taken down by Mark Crane. Taken away by the Braves. Another three on the way. That's money for Evan Haywood, who has 21.
Got his average, and I guess you give up the layups to get threes, but a lot of times that's how the games are played now. But and when you got a guy that's shooting 43% from there, he's got a great stroke and good ball movement and unselfish play, which we've talked about here tonight with the Braves.
Three-pointer attempted the other way and scored by Paxton Bacon, who has 14 of his team's 20-plus points.
Well, and that's what you need on a given night where you got guys out. Great look here. He's getting a stop. But, Paxton's averaging 7 a game, and he's doubled up with 14 now as you get another shot here coming short by Covenant. But you need that. You need these in these types of moments where you're getting scoring from other areas where you haven't typically got it.
Well, that's a pretty move by Reese Butcher with a foul called. You see 34 in our picture. He's just outside the free throw line. Evan Haywood, what kind of college player do you think he'll be?
It's always tough to see, how kids will transition. It's very easy to see how they are in high school. And sometimes those, the things that will surprise you is sometimes kids will do what they do at high school and transition right into it. It's a learning curve. You have it even in Miles Colvin. He's a guy that's a freakish athlete, came out of Heritage, but you're at Purdue, and sometimes you got to buy your time. And those times with him are going to come as Reese knocks down the second. But I think with Haywood, he's a guy that has a nice stroke on the outside. Any team can use a shooter. But you just don't know how they're going to translate into the college game and how well they fit with the continuity of a program.
Any advantage, the fact that he's going to be playing for a hometown school and you can see him in person?
I think from a family standpoint, it's always nice. I think it does add a little bit of pressure to the kid.
Really?
But I think that's also on the makeup of the kid. I think that, Evan's a very solid kid that I think takes that in. His uncle played at Butler and Rodney. I'm sure he'll fill that things in as well. So it's just a really, Jim, it's a lot of the unknown. You just don't know until they get there on campus and how those lights might impact them.
Right now the Warriors with the ball, coached by Scott Flatt. Some heavy compliments earlier in the week by Alan Glunt toward the job that Scott has done and is trying to do with one hand behind his back, with a major player injured and another one sent away for discipline problems.
Well, you talked about Glunt, too. Spent 1 year at Tri-West where he was 15-10 in his first year, and this is his second year here at Brebeuf, and has got good personnel to work with, but it takes a coach to do what he's doing in the X and O side. So he's done a fabulous job in his second year at Brebeuf.
Certainly knows the Braves program, was an assistant for some 6 years there. His team in the dark uniforms with the basketball and up 52-25. Sam Ware just got the rebound for Covenant Christian. A record of 7-11. Facing Brebeuf at 12-4 and already 2-0 and leading the Circle City Conference.
Yeah, I love the downhill attack here that you had by Laughlin. Saw what he wanted, went downhill to get it, but also like the weak side help with Warren coming over from the midline to help his teammate who was beat for the block.
Nice to see everything besides scoring going on. Double team off the inbounds pass. Shot missed by Sam Ware. Back the other way for another three. And what a follow-up, and almost converted. They'll get a third opportunity. Off the miss by Quinn Warren. Was that?
It looked like 12. I think it was Austin Ford.
Yeah, first points of the night.
Make it the 9th score for the Braves tonight.
Yeah, spread the wealth, led by Evan Haywood. We're gonna have
like
5
Coach
new.
Flatt. Yeah, he's bringing them. He's bringing them all in right
Yes, why not? Reese Busher just picked up his second foul for the Braves. 54-25 our score, 3:31 remaining in the third quarter. The Morales Group brings you tonight's game. Our mission is building better futures one story at a time. We acknowledge the whole person and their individual story. Contact us at 317-472-7600.
And one thing I'm always looking to here too, Jim, is when that ball's moving after the pass, is what does the rest of the floor look like? Has he got a nice take here by Granberry with his first basket tonight, just checking into the game. But, yeah, I mean, once the pass is made, I'm really looking to see what does the rest of the floor look like and what's happening off the ball. What does the movement look like? If there's not a ball screen coming, you having at least 2 or 3 guys moving, whether it's coming to the ball, whether you're getting circle movement, whether you're getting backdoor flashes. That's really indicative of good continuity and offense that's working in a way that will get you good, balanced looks.
Spoken like a good former coach. And Warren trying to get his first free throw to go through. He's 0 for 3 from the line with a couple of points.
Yeah, and all of them he's missed the same way. A lot of it's just the lift, and he gets this last one. So I think you talked him up for the make there.
Better lift there, you think?
I can't be short.
3 minutes to go, third quarter. Warriors quickly in their offense and a rebound to Butcher. Braves have lost some tough games. They had a 3-game losing streak where they were beaten by Warren Central, Zionsville, and Ben Davis. All were winnable games against Warren, down big before rallying. Had a huge lead against Zionsville. Lost by a point, and at Ben Davis trailed 10-0 before the rally. It'll be a force, though, in the sectional, as you might imagine. Nice ball movement here, but no open looks.
Well, and that's what you want. I mean, obviously, pass done, you want to be able to close your guy out. Nice backdoor read here. Got to be able to get those to drop, but certainly good action and what you want as a coach. Just got to be able to knock that down.
Yeah, Van Haywood all the way to the goal, banks it in, and Haywood now unofficially with 23 points. Here comes Sham Sherman back in the game. And Haywood gets a rest and a high five from his head coach.
And it might be might be done for the night, possibly. I think that if you're one, I don't know how much it might make sense to risk an injuries. Scored well.
It's a good point.
30-point lead. You got a lot more to risk with him being on the floor, being up as much as they are at this point.
Tough save and a basket by Brooks.
Well, and a tough one that you don't want to do. I know he might not intend to do that. Whenever you're trying to save the ball, you never want to do it underneath your opponent's basket. You want to try to do your best to throw that towards the timeline or down towards your end.
That happens more often than not, though, doesn't it?
It does.
3 players for the Braves at double figures as we're down to 90 seconds for the third quarter tonight on IndianaSRN.org. Craig Cox, Jim Barber. Pleasure to bring it to you. Kick out 3.
Yeah, again, that's the second time that Warren's really had that ball really deep and has thrown it out. I know the 3-ball plays a lot in today's game, but I don't like it as much as when you got a guy, especially of his stature and size, and you're that deep. Really like to see him power that up.
Some high school coaches have told me that the 3 has affected the 1, namely the free throw shooting, because the 3 has been so attractive, particularly as you go high in the NBA level with the Splash Brothers at Golden State that kind of brought the game back to smaller shooters. And it's taken away a little bit from the best things in life for free, which are the free throws.
Well, that, and I think the other thing that it's done is it's taken away the mid-range game that we see today. I mean, you see very few. I think there's even a lot of coaches today really frown upon, the 15, 17-foot, shot, because it's more like let's play the 3. But you don't really see a lot of things for that 10 to 12, 14 range anymore like we used to too, unless it's against a zone and you're working high-low action. But it's either more a layup, floater, Euro step, or 3.
Tonight's game brought to you by Piper Logistics, Piper Warehouse. Group of logistics professionals dedicated to working together to provide our clients with a complete logistics in Indianapolis and Cincinnati. Roll with us. Call today at 317-396-1023. Think we'll ever see a change to the 3 in terms of distance? I know we messed with it for a while on the college level, and then it's kind of settled in a bit.
Yeah, if I had to say now, I would probably say not. I mean, it's at 20, and I would think unless the college, I don't see the pros moving back, but unless the college ever changes, I doubt that the high school will be touched for a while either.
Warriors trying to get some more points in this quarter, and that one banked in nicely, and that's by Ty Gillespie, who has 8 off the bench. Well, Coach Flatt has found himself a scorer here in this game.
Well, and a couple of them. I mean, obviously he's coming into this year, or this game, and he's it's less than a point a game. So, I mean, this is great opportunity for him and probably makes him feel good. Family's feeling good in the stands as well. And, again, it's given them experience to be able to do. It's another senior, though, but it's one that he's getting on the floor where he normally hasn't.
3 ball for Austin Ford, who now has a field goal and a 3. Brebeuf came out firing the 3 and never looked back to it for a 9-0 start. Nice drive to the basket by Mel Granberry, who has 4.
Well, and they're 1-2 where they've only had, that's their 9th point. Great look there, as it looked like Sherman. I think, was that Sherman for the basket?
I think you're right. That would give Sam, senior wing, with 5. Final seconds, third quarter. Joe Midland with his first points. And the third quarter is over. After 3, it's Brebeuf 64 and Covenant Christian 31.
From warehousing to transportation and everything in between, Piper Logistics does it all. Centrally located, Piper Logistics has 2 warehouses in Indianapolis and a warehouse in Cincinnati, Ohio. Piper Logistics houses over 1 million square feet. Along with our transportation department, we can provide service to half the United States markets.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
Tonight's broadcast is a copyright production of IndianaSRN and the Indiana High School Athletic Association, and use of audio or video without the express written permission of IndianaSRN and the IHSAA is prohibited. Passionate Care is dedicated to helping you care for a loved one. Through Indiana State programs, we provide financial compensation. Contact us today, 833-420-6640. Brebeuf with a first quarter of 18 and 27 in the second, 19 points in the third for Covenant Christian, 4, 18, and 11 in scoring. To the fourth quarter we go.
It's nice action here, more flex screen and then hitting the guy up top, for high-low action. But I'll tell you, Brebeuf's done a good job tonight with the ball movement in terms of really getting more on good closeouts as we get a deflection here.
Brebeuf still playing hard and with his possession held ball, which will give the ball to the Braves. So good hustle there. And by the way, if the lead reaches 35, we'll have a running clock.
It does run.
For the remainder of the game.
Yeah, I'd love to see, Brebeuf being up as they are, still getting on the floor for the 50-50 balls. And again, that's indicative of coaching and culture, if you will.
Braves have been through some minor injuries, but have been able to put this group of 6 seniors together nicely. Just had one rough stretch this year in which they lost 3 very close games against 3 very good 4A teams.
And here's the thing that you're after, too. You're playing with your second unit here. As soon as I'm getting ready to go into that, we have turnover. But you want to be able to you're only as good, as your bench. And I think that, you want them to continue to stay. It might look differently in terms of the output, but in terms of what you're doing and the consistency of that is what you're after.
We'll have Covenant again Tuesday night at Indianapolis Lutheran as 2A meets up with 1A, and then Covenant closes out the regular season with Ritter and Bethesda Christian. I already mentioned that Brebeuf will have a huge game with Carmel at home on Tuesday night, then at Heritage on the 16th, Tri-West on the 20th, and at Roncalli to finish up the regular season. That's a 3.
Looks like Granberry.
Oh, Mel's got 7 now.
And he's another one, too, that was a 1-point average guy. That's putting him up as well. I got 2 guys that are getting close to double digits.
64-36 is our score now. And so the 35-point rule not kicking in. That's a 3 on the way. Ty Gillespie with his 3rd 3, and as soon as we mentioned the 35-point rule,
you got something to say about that.
Covenant Christian has said we're going to play this quarter out with the regular clock.
Probably a little quick shot there by Strickland, which can lead to an early transition, but ball's on the line. Will stay with Covenant. But, the thing is about the 3 is, it's fine if you're getting those off downhill penetration, getting the defense to collapse and getting kicks, but just to get one on a perimeter pass and just pull it, that's really something you can get out of any possession that occurs.
In other words, that's something the coach doesn't want.
It's not that you don't want the 3, it's just sometimes how you get the 3s.
Sure. 2 opportunities and a 3rd. What a nice save by Joe Midla. But it's not going to result in a shot. And then the Braves turn it over with 5:51, and Alan Glenn is not happy. You got watching him pace the sidelines.
Yeah, you got 2 of the last 3 possessions have ended in turnovers, and early on, that one on transition, and the one before was actually on the second pass.
Braves have not scored here in the 4th quarter. Off the bounce. Shot missed, rebound to James Clark, junior power forward, and an easy fast break for their first points of the quarter by Nicholas Sobek.
And Nick's got 5 now. Or 4, I'm sorry.
Well, they haven't stopped firing the ball, and off the 3, it's Gillespie again, who has 14 in a reserve role.
And again, he was coming in averaging 1, I believe.
I think we'll see more of him Tuesday night. What do you think?
Yeah, actually, in 0, so I don't know that he's actually scored through the season.
Wow. A breakthrough game for him, to say the least.
Yeah, Scott Flatt might have found something in him.
Yep. Under 5 to go here in the game, with the Braves up by 24. But they've been outscored in this quarter with the backups 9-2.
Well, that's what you want, too. We talked about, again, finding it from a different area. Coach Flatt's needing that probably even more than Coach Glunt. But any program, you're looking for scoring where you can get it anyway. And certainly with somebody that hasn't done much throughout the year, it's certainly an added plus for the program.
When you coach at Traders Point, you find some diamonds in the rough like that?
Oh, yeah. No, we had a fair amount of them that not only were in-house through our feeder system, but also transferred in to us at parts of their career, and certainly helped quite a bit. Had it as well through the 90s, back in the 1900s, with Ritter and Manuel as well.
3-point chance coming up here and converted by Nicholas Sobek, who has scored 5 of his 7 points in the quarter.
Again, these are just so valuable minutes for all 10 of these players on the floor. There's maybe 2 of them from each team, so you're looking at 5 or 6 guys on the floor out of the 10 that are really getting valuable minutes that haven't got through the year.
I have no idea why I thought of this, but in the semifinals national championship run, Final Four Indiana, many years ago, in a game where Todd Leary came off the bench and drained like 3 threes and got him back from nowhere when nobody thought Leary had a shot like that.
Yeah, that was the 92, I think, Final Four. It was in Minneapolis.
Yep, lost to Michigan.
Yeah, he was on fire.
So sometimes you get a guy like that to do that. And here's Mel Granberry at the free throw line for the first time.
Well, and you speak of Indiana and Leary then, you kind of got it. We were talking about it at halftime off air, about what the current Indiana team has been getting with Anthony Leal, former Mr. Basketball, and hadn't got his opportunity. And arguably the shots that he's hit, it didn't necessarily, that's not why they won.
Sure.
But it was like the clincher, and he hadn't played hardly at all throughout that Ohio State game, hadn't scored at all the entire game, and gets in the corner and gets open and hits a three to pretty much clinch it for him.
Austin Ford now with 7. Well, you think about it, these guys are recruited to play major college basketball, so everybody can play. And sometimes coaches lose sight until they have to rely on them, and boy, the upside is pretty good.
Oh, it is, and I think, and it just goes to show you too the competitiveness as it is at the next level, and it's not just with D1 in the Power Conference; it's at all levels. I told guys all the time, if you're a committed player and you have the dedication and commitment, there's a place to play, and you can't get caught up just with Division I. There's unbelievable play, and I always made a point every year to take our teams not only to some Division I games, but I was intentional about taking them, to Division III and NAIAs, and they were floored to be able to see the competitive. I remember there was a time that I took them up to Bethel, which was a NAIA, and took them to a walkthrough on the day of a game. We saw the walkthrough and then the game later on that day, and they were playing Division II St. Joseph at the time, which has since closed. And they couldn't believe the intensity during the walkthrough practice 4 hours before the game. And so those are types of things that are very eye-opening to a lot of players that, one, haven't seen it, or two, get the opportunity to experience it.
Sure. Well, they say your toughest game in high school is not as tough as your practice in college.
Oh, it doesn't even compare. Not only time commitment, but just the intensity. And then you turn around, you look to your left or right, regardless of what division you're at, and everybody's just as good as you, if not better.
Mm-hmm.
And some kids can't accept that. And it's something, though, that if the quicker you can, it's humbling, and you get on the same page of that, and it just gets you that much better.
Brebeuf in the dark uniforms, and a good second effort by James Clark, who's come off the bench to get his first points. Just about everybody who has played for Brebeuf has scored.
We got 10 that are there in the scoring column.
Under 3 minutes to go, ready to run their record of 13-4, and they run the break nicely there for Clark to finish it off.
Back-to-back buckets at that. Great job there by Ford with the penetration.
And Scott Flatt will take a timeout for Covenant Christian. 2:47 left in the game, and the lead is 31. Come back with more in a moment.
At Morales Group Staffing, we are all about building better futures. And during these times, we are working hard to put people to work. We are now hiring for hundreds of jobs with pay up to $17 an hour. Visit our website at moralesgroup.net or text JOBS, JOBS, to 317-472-7600 to apply now and get hired today.
We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, IndianaSRN. Hit the bell to get notifications for upcoming games and more. Watch as many games as you want, as many times as you want.
Well, if you miss any of the action, catch a replay on our YouTube page. IndianaSRN archives always on the stream, but IndianaSRN, you always have a front row seat. We're winding this one down here. From Covenant Christian, we will be at the home of the Warriors Tuesday night against Indianapolis Lutheran, while a Tuesday night showdown looms for Brebeuf against Carmel at Brebeuf. Evan Haywood, and I think you hit it on the head, Craig. His night was done a long time ago, leaving as the lead scorer with 23. Started the game off with a couple of threes, and the Braves have not looked back.
Yeah, no, it's been one that, again, as we talked about earlier, it's kind of what we anticipated. They've executed it. to perfection. I think that statistically speaking, they were right on a lot of the point lines. They averaged 70. They've shot well from the 3-point line. They've shot well from the free throw line. For the most part, had really good ball security as far as for the ones that that they've relied on the most, if you will. But it has been a game, and probably look for great things to happen, and certainly, hopefully, the Warriors can get back Crane here for the end of the season as well as sectionals.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, he suffered a broken hand in a game against Ben Davis off a deflection, so that knocked him out of the lineup. And with Devin Rudolph permanently off the team, that makes things a little bit rougher. But they have found a scorer in Ty Gillespie, who averaged 1 point a game, and has 14 tonight.
And Bacon as well. He's scored their first 9 or 11 points, if I'm not mistaken. And he's now at 13 or 14, I believe, for the game.
Paxton got him started very early. Now Farrell, who has been their top scorer, was limited to 2 points. Well, I like watching Alan Glunt. He's in the corner of your picture. I mean, he hasn't sat down the whole game.
Yeah, he's been up. This is Ben Lai, the freshman that's came into the game here, number 21. Got some great length to him. One thing you can see on your screen is just looking at his feet. You can tell he's going to continue to grow.
Yes.
Like say his 18 shoe.
Well, Allen burns a few calories going up and down, doesn't he? Were you a sitter or a stander and continue to walk through the game all the time? What was your position?
I was guard, more point guard, but
I mean, as a coach.
What's that?
Did you sit or did you stand all the time?
Oh, my position there. I'm talking about me. I was like, man, I hope I wasn't that. But no, I was kind of up and down, but probably up more than down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I would typically do what he does. Usually go to the end of the bench when I was standing, but a little bit of both. A big day of hoops tomorrow, collegiately speaking.
Man.
As
rematch Indiana-Purdue.
Purdue going hosting IU tomorrow for that second round, and Indiana State's on the road after being 21 or 22-3, I believe, with Coach Schertz doing some wonderful things, getting some ranks, and then of course Butler hosting Providence tomorrow. So a lot of action here on Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah. Big Ten now in command by Purdue as Wisconsin has hit the skid suddenly after an undefeated start. Hoskins with 2, 77-46. Final seconds.
Like they're content just to run out the clock, which is certainly a great thing to do if in fact that's what holds.
A nice sportsmanship effort, I think, here. And the Braves are now 13-4 in the season. Covenant Christian drops to 7-12 with the final 77-46. And I guess, Coach, this one went according to how we thought it would go.
It is. We talked about earlier. I think they executed their game plan, and I think it was just too much for the Warriors to try to overcome against a very solid Braves team, second in the state. And then how you certainly had the Warriors down with some personnel as well was a big feat for them to have to do. But I'll tell you, the thing that I liked is they competed. They played hard, continued to get on the floor for loose balls, and certainly shout out to both these teams and good luck for the rest of the way.
And we'll see Covenant Christian Tuesday night, and likely they have found another score with Gillespie off the bench. For the coach, I'm Jim Barber. Thank you for joining us. So long tonight from Covenant Christian.